if you're a new player to Total War Warhammer 3, picking a faction can be quite overwhelming. In this guide I'll break down the easiest factions to start with and which ones to avoid until later. I'm going to base this ranking off of 5 things, okay? That's the starting position, the campaign mechanics, the battle strategy, the economic strength of the faction, and how forgiving mistakes are. So if you look at the Empire, for example, by the way, you see this little hammer, it says recommended first campaign. The Empire is not a good starting campaign, okay? It's really hard, it's really fun, but it's a really tough starting position. Okay, and by the way, this ranking is opinion based, so let's get started. So the best faction for beginners is probably Kislev, and one of the main reasons for this is the starting position. Okay, so I'm playing as the Ice Court here, and you've only really got one enemy at the start, and that's Bear Sonling, which is a Norscan faction. But because it's a minor faction, you should be able to take them out relatively easily. Here's their starting army compared to yours. You're not going to have a problem with that, okay? And everyone else surrounding you, these guys won't attack you, these guys won't attack you, these guys won't attack you, they all like you. This guy doesn't like you, but like, he's not going to attack you, okay? He's another Kislev faction. These guys aren't going to attack you either. They don't like you, they probably won't attack you, you'll probably end up attacking them. Your main threats are going to come from all the way like this side of this big body of water here, and possibly Azhag can come from here, but other than that the start is like really easy, especially for beginners. The mechanics are really straightforward, nothing too complicated, and there's no complicated resources to manage. In terms of their roster, most of their infantry are hybrid units, meaning they can shoot and fight in melee, which makes positioning mistakes much less punishing, and it's quite easy to play defensively, which is really good for beginners, I would say. The Kislev economy is also really stable, so you can play defensively on a campaign level and you're not forced into any wars. And also the good thing about Kislev is their economy is quite strong, so if you do lose an army or a battle, your campaign isn't over, you can usually recover. In number 2 we have Grand Cafe. Cafe is one of the safest starting positions in the game, especially because of the Great Bastion, which protects you from most of your nearby threats. The harmony system takes a little bit of time to understand, but it's really not that complicated, and once you do, it's quite helpful. In terms of the roster, Cafe is a really strong defensive roster and really good artillery, so it's quite simple, it's quite easy to use, especially if you like to play defensively. Their economy is really strong, very reliable and good at trade, so again, like Kislev, you don't need to be declaring war just to make a bit of money. And for the punishment level, if you're pretty good at defending, then like you can lose an army, it won't be a big deal, mistakes shouldn't be too bad. So in third we have the Greenskins, and if you own the Greenskins, they're actually one of the simplest and most straightforward factions to learn. They're also really aggressive, so if you enjoy that, then great. Their starting positions aren't the safest, to be honest, but they're really strong early game, so nearby enemies are quite manageable. Their mechanics are pretty straightforward as well. You just fight, and that's the main faction mechanic. You can trigger a war and get extra armies. Their roster is pretty easy to use as well. They're melee focused and really tanky, so if you enjoy just like charging at your enemy and winning like that, then this is probably one of the best factions for you. Their economy is surprisingly strong as well. They get a lot of money from fighting, but they're economic buildings as well. Really simple to use, really effective. In terms of punishment level, it can be quite bad for you if you slow down, but it's very easy to not slow down. So as long as you keep attacking, it's very forgiving. Moving on to factions that I wouldn't recommend for beginners, I would start with Tzeentch. Tzeentch is really strong and really fun, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it as a beginner campaign. The starting position for any Tzeentch faction is really dangerous, and there's quite a lot of strong threats nearby. Their mechanics are super complicated for newer players. You'll understand them eventually, but they include things like the barrier mechanic and manipulation abilities that require quite in-depth understanding of battle and campaign mechanics. Their armies and roster also rely heavily on ranged units and magic, which means you have to take positioning into consideration, and it can be really punishing for any mistakes in a battle. Their economy is strong, but the buildings aren't as straightforward as more traditional factions. And in terms of punishment level, if you misplay early battles, it's much harder to recover compared to more traditional factions. So it's quite a difficult faction for beginners. The second faction that I wouldn't recommend for beginners is Khorne, and this is because to play Khorne well, you have to play really aggressively, and that means at least one battle every turn. The start is quite tough because you're encouraged to constantly fight, so you're going to be in a lot of wars very early on. In terms of mechanics, the main mechanic for Khorne is the bloodletting mechanic, which rewards you for winning a lot of battles back to back, but it can penalise you if you're passive for a long period of time, making it quite hard to manage for beginners. While Khorne armies are strong, they are melee focused, and they pretty much have no ranged units, so it's not particularly balanced. The Khorne economy is absolute garbage unless you're fighting constant battles, so you can't just build your economy, you have to fight for it. And in terms of punishment level, to be fair, you can spawn in a new army every time you raise a settlement, so it's quite forgiving in terms of that. But if you lose your main army, it can be a huge problem, because without a good bloodletting streak, recruitment can be really slow for Khorne factions, and that's why I would say it's not great for beginners, but it is really fun. So if you're brand new to Total War Warhammer 3, I'd recommend starting with Kislev for the smoothest learning curve. Cafe is also a great option if you like to play defensively, and if you own the green skins and enjoy playing more aggressively, they're a very fun and straightforward choice. Once you're comfortable with the core mechanics, that's when factions like Tzeentch and Khorne become very fun to play as well. Thanks for watching.